Mother Earth, uh, having taken the surrendered position before Pṛthu Maharaj, was not still sufficient for Pṛthu Maharaj to give up his anger. Pṛthu Maharaj was so disturbed that his lips were trembling in anger. Therefore, the frightened earth continued to beg the king to become peaceful, and she's now going to reveal the real reason why the grains and the seeds were kept um, inside, and they were not released for the use of the citizens within Pṛthu Maharaja's kingdom. So she started explaining by saying that long ago, great sages prescribed various methods to induce peace and prosperity in the world. And one who follows these principles can use them for practical purposes, and thus can easily enjoy life and pleasures. So first, she brings attention to the importance of following the unimpeachable directions of the great sages. I like the fifth verse very much, the way it is expressed, that a foolish person who manufactures his own ways and means through mental speculation and does not recognize the authority of the sages who lay down unimpeachable directions is simply unsuccessful again and again in his attempts. How important it is to follow the directions of great sages and authorities. So, verse number 3, purport Prabhupada focuses on the importance of protecting women uh, as a means to induce peace and prosperity in the world. The Prabhupada writes there in the in Manu Smriti, it is stated that a woman should not be given independence, but should be given protection by her father, husband, and elderly sons. In all circumstances, a woman should remain dependent upon some guardian. Presently, women are given full independence like men, but actually, we can see that such independent women are no happier than those women who are placed under guardians. If people follow the injunctions given by the great sages, Shrutis and Smritis, they can actually be happy in both this life and the next. Unfortunately, rascals are manufacturing so many ways and means to be happy. Everyone is independent, inventing so many methods. Consequently, human society has lost the standard ways of life, both materially and spiritually. And as a result, people are bewildered and there is no peace or happiness in the world. Although they are trying to solve the problems of human society in the United Nations, they are still baffled. And that is very um, prominent even today, uh, as we can see around the world. And then Srila Prabhupada uh, continues in the line of reasoning of um, having a proper government um, in order to bring happiness and prosperity by following the standard methods that have been given by the liberated souls. So in the purport number 4, Prabhupada is writing, in the democratic government at the present moment, all kinds of fools and rascals are making decisions. But what can they do? What is the result of their legislation? They enact something today just to whimsically repeal it tomorrow. One political party utilizes a country for one purpose, and the next moment another political party forms a different type of government and nullifies all the laws and regulations. This process of chewing the chewed, punah punas charvita charvananam, will never make human society happy. In order to make all human society happy and prosperous, we should accept the standard methods given by liberated persons. And in the purport number 5, which is about the stress on following unimpeachable directions, unimpeachable directions, Prabhupada is writing that at the present moment, it has become fashionable to disobey the unimpeachable directions given by the acharyas and liberated souls of the past. Presently, people are so fallen that they cannot distinguish between a liberated soul and a conditioned soul. A conditioned soul is hampered by 4 defects, is sure to commit mistakes, is sure to become illusioned. He has a tendency to cheat others, and his senses are imperfect. Consequently, we have to take direction from liberated persons. This Krishna consciousness movement directly receives instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead via persons who are strictly following his instructions. Although a follower may not be a liberated person, if he follows the Supreme Liberated Personality of Godhead, his actions are naturally liberated from the contamination of the material nature. This is a very important statement that we may not be liberated, but when we follow a liberated person, then our actions become liberated. Lord Chaitanya therefore says, by my order, you may become a spiritual master. In other words, how much are we conscious of the order and the instructions that are placed upon our head? That determines how much we are operating from a liberated platform. One can immediately become a spiritual master by having full faith in the transcendental words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by following his instructions. Materialistic men are not interested in taking directions from a liberated person, but they are very much interested in their own concocted ideas, which make them repeatedly fail in their attempts. Because the entire world is now following the imperfect directions of conditioned souls, humanity is completely bewildered. So now the Earth's explanation um, about why the herbs and roots and seeds they have been hidden by her is going to come forth. So in the 6th verse, she is revealing this that the seeds, roots, herbs, and grains which were created by Lord Brahma in the past are now being used by non devotees who are devoid of all spiritual understanding. So Prabhupada writes his purport to verse number 6 by bringing out what could be the result of selfish um, engagements of the people. Uh, so Prabhupada is writing the word yagya indicates Lord Vishnu. We should work only for his satisfaction. In modern times, Kali Yuga, however, people have forgotten Vishnu altogether and they conduct their activities for sense gratification. Such people will gradually become poverty stricken, for they cannot use things which are to be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord for their own sense gratification. If they continue like this, there will ultimately be a state of poverty and no grains, fruits, or flowers will be produced. That's the point that is coming out through this interaction between Mother Earth and Pṛthu Maharaj. That if we continue to just focus on our sense gratification, neglecting the teachings of the sages and the authorities, then what's going to be the result of that? Earth is going to withhold the grains, the fruits, and the flowers. Indeed, it is stated in the 12th canto of Bhagavatam that at the end of Kali Yuga, people will be so polluted that there will no longer be any grains, wheat, sugarcane, or milk. If you want to read about the conditions that are forecasted about Kali Yuga, I welcome you to read 12th canto, chapter 2, and the verses 9 onward you can read. There are a lot of graphic details presented. And again, in the chapter 3 of the 12th canto, there are some descriptions given. So the earth's argument for why she had withheld the production of the grain is coming forth here, that the population, because of neglecting the directions of the sages, they have turned into thieves and rogues because of the lack of spiritual understanding, and they are simply shamelessly exploiting the world while offering nothing for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And therefore earth feels that the earth is no longer being maintained, because earth's maintenance is dependent on how much people are in alignment with the scriptures and how much they're acting according to the directions. So if they are not acting, then the earth is also not going to be maintained, and therefore the earth feels neglected indirectly by the king. And therefore she's saying in the 7th verse that I have hidden all these seeds which were meant for the performance of sacrifice. So now it all makes sense. So therefore she is now requesting Pṛthu Maharaj that I have stocked these seeds for so long that they have begun to deteriorate. And therefore, please arrange to take them by some standard processes which are recommended by the sages and the Shastras, which is the process of sacrifice. So, Prabhupada in the purport number 8 talks about what is an approved method for producing grains. When there is a scarcity of grain, the government should follow the methods prescribed in the Shastras and approved by the Acharyas. Thus, there will be a sufficient production of grains, and food scarcity and famine can be checked. Bhagavad Gita recommends that we perform yajna, sacrifices. By the performance of yajna, sufficient clouds gather in the sky, and when there are sufficient clouds, there is also sufficient rainfall. In this way, agricultural matters are taken care of. When there is sufficient grain production, the general populace eats the grains, and animals like cows, goats, and other domestic animals eat the grasses and grains also. According to this arrangement, human beings should perform the sacrifices recommended in the Shastras, and if they do so, there will no longer be food scarcity. In Kali Yuga, the only sacrifice recommended is Sankirtan Yajna. So, concluding, the earth informed Pṛthu Maharaj that, O great hero, protector of living entities, if you desire to relieve the living entities by supplying them sufficient grain, and if you desire to nourish them by taking milk from me, you should make arrangements to bring a calf suitable for this purpose, and a pot in which the milk can be kept, as well as a milkman to do the work. Since I will be very much affectionate towards my calf, your desire to take milk from me will be fulfilled. And we'll see who is that calf. So, in the purport to this particular verses, Prabhupada is explaining the relationship between the system of milking the cow and the production of grains from the earth. That even though the earth's being in the shape of a cow may be taken figuratively, the meaning herein is very explicit. Just as a calf can derive milk from a cow, all living entities, including animals, birds, bees, reptiles, and aquatics, can receive their respective foods from the planet Earth, provided that human beings are not asat or adridavrata, as we have previously discussed. When human society becomes asat or ungodly or devoid of Krishna consciousness, the entire world suffers. If a human being if human beings are well behaved, animals will also receive sufficient food and be happy. The ungodly human being, ignorant of his duty to give protection and food to the animals, kills them to compensate for the insufficient production of grains. Thus, no one is satisfied, and that is the cause for the present condition in today's world. In addition, the earth said that your leveling of the land will increase production because having been watered by the rains brought on by sacrifice, the earth will remain moist and tillable. So, uh, Pṛthu Maharaj was not satisfied to hear Earth's praise for him or her pleas for protection, but now he appreciated the practical solution she proposed because it was addressing the concern for his emaciated and starving citizens. So he accepted Earth's suggestion, and what Pṛthu Maharaj did, he transformed Swayambhuva Manu into a calf and milked all the herbs and grains from the earth in the form of a cow, keeping them in his cupped hands. And this whole process of how the earth is going to satisfy the desire of everyone through the milking process is going to be described next. Thank you very much.